Welcome to A Day in K at the West Plains Elementary. My name is Brad Owings and I'm the principal here, and this is our first time doing A Day in K, so we thought we'd try and get you some information the easiest way possible through a video tour of A Day in K. And I'm going to take a tour, so I'm sorry if I make you seasick on the way through the tour, but bear with me. I'll also be reading from my script as I go. This is the office. This is where we store all of our records and forms. If you have a change of address or need to make changes in your status or pay a bill, you can do that here. This is Jan and Jesse. Okay. And here are some kids who are coming to the office. Ainsley. Out here is the front counter. This is where you need to check in anytime you come to school. This is also where we sign kids in and out of school. Anytime a student arrives after 8:10, they must be signed in. If they leave before 3:15, they also have to be signed out here. Signing in late or signing out early, both of those count against attendance. Speaking of attendance, we have an automated call system that will call whenever your child misses school. So don't be surprised if you get a call if your child is sick. This is the same system that calls when there is inclement weather and we need to cancel school. This is the main lobby, and this is going to be the library where you are now. As we walk along here, I'm coming to Miss Miller's office. Miss Miller is our counselor, and she is going to tell us a little bit about what your child needs to know to be ready for kindergarten.
Kindergarten is very difficult because there is no other grade where you have such a wide range of skills. So people often ask, what is it that we're looking for? We're looking for readiness and we're looking for independence. Is your child able to tie their shoes, button their pants? Social skills such as sharing, being able to follow directions. Our goal is for each kindergarten student to have a successful year and be prepared to go on to first grade. And those skills such as readiness and independence is what we're looking for right now. And the process between what we're looking for right now and what our goal is at the end of the year is what kindergarten is all about.
Are there challenges to that goal?
Absolutely. There are challenges to any goal. But one of the first challenges that we deal with here in kindergarten is separation anxiety. And that's not just mom and dad's. It's not uncommon to see crying kids in our hallway the first week, sometimes 2 weeks of school. And as difficult as this is to hear, parents, the best way to approach this is to leave and let us get that child involved in their routine. Very seldom do we have to call a parent. We will call you if they continue to have difficulty, but this very rarely occurs.
What would you tell parents about the upcoming school year?
Get ready for a fast-paced year. There's a lot going on in kindergarten. Kindergarten is not the same as when I was in kindergarten, where everything you knew you'd learned on Sesame Street. We expect our students to be reading at the end of the school year. Keep in touch with us. Look in that folder every day. The teachers are going to be sending important information home every day, and stay in contact with us. If there are problems that come up, the only way that we can deal with them is if we work together.
So, as Ms. Miller said, some things to think about. Readiness, being an independent child, those are things to work on over the summer before school starts in the fall. There will be some separation anxiety issues. Best thing to do is to just walk away, leave the child with us. Once they're in the routine, it'll work out fine. And then it's going to be a fast-paced year, so be ready to go because we hit the ground running. Okay, so we're here in the nurse's office with Nurse Leslie Clinton, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what we need to have from you in regards to medical information for your child.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm one of the nurses in the nurse's office at the elementary school. A few important things regarding your children in the nurse's office. The immunizations are extremely important that they be current. It can affect their attendance if they're not up to date. We need to have the most current copy of their shot record, including all their shot records throughout their life. If they're not up to date by state law, they cannot attend school. So we usually will send out a paper saying what they need to have and give you a date that they need to have it by, or we have to have proof from the doctor's office that they have a appointment pending. There's also a state law that they have to have a vision exam by a doctor. The only exception is if they sign an opt-out form. This opt-out form must be turned in to us by January 1st. We will still do a screening. We do the screenings in kindergarten, 1st and 3rd grade, and then any as needed The medication consent form, we give copies of those to all the parents, and we need you to fill those out and sign them. It gives a list of the medications that we routinely give here, and you just mark if they're okay for us to give them or not. Whatever ones you want to do, all of them, none of them, some of them are fine. We do need to have them here in our office along with emergency contact numbers that are listed on there. That's important so that we can contact you should anything arise or if we have any questions regarding care for your student. Any medications must be brought in by a parent. We cannot have medications here that are not in their original bottles. No medications are allowed on the bus, and there's no exceptions to that rule, so please always bring any medications in yourself. Varnish, we do this twice per year. The first time we do it in the fall, dentists come and do a screening and also then their assistants apply the varnish. We send a permission slip for this too, so you can say if you do or do not want to have your student examined and varnished. Then the second time when we do it, we just go around room to room and apply to each of the students that are supposed to have it. It's very important for you to keep in contact with us. If your child has a fever, rash, any allergies, any medical conditions that come up through the year that we weren't aware of, please let us know about those things. Also any new medications that they might start. Please don't send your child to school if they have a fever higher than 100 degrees Fahrenheit or if they've been vomiting or have diarrhea. Those are all things that we will send them home for if they do have that. So it's best to, if they have had any of those problems, just to keep them home from school that day. Also, please keep your contact numbers up to date. That's probably one of the hardest parts of this job, is contacting parents when something's wrong with their child. So if you could just keep that up to date, that would help us out tremendously. Thank you.
So, Nurse Leslie says it's important to have your immunizations up to date, that you have to have a comprehensive vision exam done by an optometrist. You need to have your medical consent form signed. They will be varnishing teeth. They used to do the fluoride rinse, but now they do a varnish program. They'll be doing that for the kids. And that it's important to keep your contact information up to date and just keep in touch with the nurse if you have any questions or any problems that you need to talk about. Okay, so we are now heading down Kindergarten Hall. Would you guys like to be in the video?
Yeah, kindergarten hall's fun.
We're now going to be headed down to the Kindergarten Hall. And right here is the cafeteria where we serve lunch to nearly 700 students every day. Our students get 3 choices for lunch, or they can bring their lunch. Every student gets to eat breakfast for free, but we do that in the classroom. And down here is where the kindergarten classrooms are, and coming up to some of our kindergarten teachers. So as I said, I'm going to be going down to kindergarten to talk to some kindergarten teachers who are going to tell you a little bit about what your child needs to know before they can be ready for kindergarten.
Are we ready?
Okay, so here are some of our kindergarten teachers, and I can't get them all in the picture though. I'll do one at a time. Who's going to talk first?
I will.
All right, Mrs. Hunt.
One of the important things that you can work on with your children to get them ready for kindergarten is to read with them at home and have them sit quietly and listen and not interrupt while you're reading to them, and then ask them questions about your story that you read, because we'll be doing that every day in kindergarten, and they need to know how to sit quietly and listen to stories and then talk about the story afterwards. They also have to know how to handle the books, turn the pages correctly. You might point to the words as you read so they understand that the print tells the story, and that will help them get ready for story time in kindergarten.
Excellent tip. Who wants to give me another tip?
I will.
Mrs. Harrison.
It's important when reading rhyming books and having finger-to-finger plays, singing rhyming songs with your child, because it helps the children learn to hear the rhymes. Also, learn to hear sounds and rhyme words is critical in reading, especially for first grade. We do a lot of rhyming throughout kindergarten.
Lots of rhyming, okay.
I will go next.
Mrs. Orr.
I'm talking to you all about fine motor skills. It's very important that you give your children lots of experience with pencils and scissors and crayons so that they will be ready to do some of the things that we do in kindergarten. It's going to be really difficult to do some of the activities that we do if they don't have those skills. Also, the more that they work with these skills, the stronger their fine motor skills will become.
Okay, good tip. And who's next?
I'll go next.
Miss Dryden.
It would be awesome if your child can count to 10 before they come to kindergarten, because by the end of kindergarten, we'll be counting all the way to 100. Also, a good way to help them recognize numbers is to notice them in our environment. We'll be identifying numbers to 31 before the end of kindergarten.
Okay, excellent. Miss Rutledge.
It helps if your child will be able to write and recognize some letters at least coming into kindergarten, especially be able to recognize and write their first name, because by the end of kindergarten they have to write their first and last name and be able to recognize and write all of the letters of the alphabet. It's also helpful if they can learn to speak in complete sentences, because by the end of kindergarten they have to be able to formulate a complete sentence and write it.
Okay. So just a quick recap. The kindergarten teachers say that in order to be ready for kindergarten, it's good for you to work with your child in reading, to do some work with their fine motor skills, to do some rhyming with them, to do some number recognition, and also, what was the last one? To learn your letters and to be able to work in complete sentences. Going back up the kindergarten hall, kindergarten classrooms, kindergarten artwork, some examples of kindergarten work, and what they can write when they get done with kindergarten. And of course, over here is the gym. If you've not ever been to our gym, there's that for you. And then we're going to go up here, we're going to look at parent drop-off and see, I'm going to explain a little bit about parent drop-off to you. Okay, we're going to go out front here, and if you are someone who will be dropping your child off for school, I've got some information for you here. This is our front driveway and sidewalk. Now, if you do a parent drop-off in the mornings, we ask that you don't get your child here before 7:30 because we don't have anyone available to supervise them at that time. But if you arrive at 7:30, we have people out here in the front sidewalk who will be glad to open the door and help your children get into the school. Once they go into school, then they'll either go to their classroom, or if they're here earlier than that, then they may go in the gym and walk and get a little bit of exercise before they go to the classroom. Then they go to their classroom and they eat breakfast before they start instruction. If your child rides the bus, The buses get here about anywhere from a quarter till to 5 till 8 o'clock, and then they actually park at the end of the building, and we have someone down there who helps get kids off the bus and gets them in so they can also eat breakfast in their classroom. We begin instruction at 8:10 every day, and if a student arrives after 8:10, they are counted tardy. And we've talked a little bit about that already, about if they are tardy, they have to sign in, and that counts against their attendance. Now, at the end of the day, we have parent pickup, and let me turn the camera around so you can see that. Our typical parent pickup line stretches all the way up to the top of that hill in the street, and goes all the way down along this sidewalk to the end here. In the afternoon, we begin dismissal at 3:17. We have people lined up in the front for parent pickup, and we ask that everyone pull forward as far as they can for parent pickup. But we'll have teachers out here who will help your student get into your car. Parent pickup starts at 3:17, and when everyone is moving and doing it correctly, we are typically done by 3:25. So if you start off in the very end of that line, don't worry, it won't take too long for us to get them in your car. Now, students who ride the bus, they are dismissed and they are walked out to the buses on the north end of the building, and the teacher walks them to each bus and puts them on the bus. Occasionally we do have missed notes or things like that may happen. So we're usually pretty good about it. So if your child is late getting home or the bus misses your stop, please call the office or call the bus garage, and we'll be sure to find out what's going on with that. So I'm going to turn around and go back into the building here and conclude our tour. We're going to end our tour by going back and talking to Mr. Eagleman in his office. Mr. Eagleman's office is in the very back of the office. Mr. Eagleman deals with all of our discipline and any behavior issues we have at school.
Hi, I'm Lenny Eagleman, and I'm the assistant principal here at West Plains Elementary. And I do, as Dr. Owens said, deal with the discipline issues and mostly attendance and tardy policies as well. A couple of items for you to remember. We will have a handbook for you to read at the beginning of the year. Please sign that, send that back to your student's teacher. And our day begins at 8:10 in the morning. If you do arrive with your child after 8:10, you will need to sign in, and I believe Dr. Owens has already covered that. Also, we give good attendance awards and perfect attendance awards each quarter, so make sure your students are here every day. Also, dealing with issues, some of the main issues, the big three that we call them when it comes to kindergarten. One is throwing rocks at recess or bringing them in the building and putting them in other kids' clothes or in the water fountains. Also, keeping our hands to ourselves. That is something that you'll hear the teachers talking about CAFUTI, and they'll explain that to you as well. And our last one, other issue that we always have, is playing in the bathrooms. We also issue quarterly awards for no discipline referrals throughout the quarter, and we have that assembly once a quarter, and we give those awards to your child as well. So if you ever have any questions about any discipline or attendance issues, please feel free to give me a call here in my office. It's extension 4112.
So as Mr. Eagleman says, 3 big things you might want to talk to your kids about before they start school in the fall: throwing rocks, keeping their hands to themselves, and playing in the bathroom. So that concludes the tour of West Plains Elementary for a day in K. If you have any questions, or if you have anything that you need to know about, please feel free to stop myself, Mr. Eagleman. You can ask Christy, who's doing the paperwork in the back. Anybody here would be more than willing to help you out. We just want this to be a great experience for you and for your children. Thanks a lot.